play taps for my lineup.
You should have. When you are told that you're going to play, I'm glad that he told me. I'm glad he didn't hold back. I think some players are a little too subtle with the way they remark in terms of inner workings of the organization. He said, I think it's messed up what they're doing to me. They told me I was going to start, and now I don't come off the bench. It's bullshit.
I'm with you. What's going on, everybody? Thursday, January 24th. We are mourning two things this morning. We are mourning Enes Kanter of the Knicks getting the DNP CD, and we are mourning Victor Oladipo's knee, which is evidently not where it was supposed to be right after it happened. That's a major bummer for that team, man. Laffy, how's it going?
Not bad, man. Not bad. Is it? I mentioned to you when we before we went live. Is it worse to cash with a zero for Enes Kanter or not? Because, I mean, obviously we know the answer to that.
You be the judge. You cashed with a zero, and I did not.
it was a min. It was a min cash, right? It was a min cash, but just I think the thought of how frustrating it is, just how frustrating the idea is that the guy. Like, okay, it said likely starter. We never had him confirmed. Like, that's a fact. He was never confirmed. So you put that on me, put that on whoever, and I'm sure we'll have some, things in chat like Kanter was a clear DNP CD. How did you not see that? Right? Well, he was told he was going to start, and he thought he was going to start. So I don't know what to tell you.
Fizdale said in the media that he's thinking about starting him because of Mitchell Robinson's propensity for fouls.
And at 5K,
and that he was very much like back in business. He played a day and a half ago, 2 days ago. He played on the 21st for 19 minutes. To think that he wasn't going to get at least those 19 minutes?
Yeah, right. Like 25 would have been realistic. Yeah, but 335 fantasy points with a zero kind of sucks for sure, especially when, like, you know what frustrates me the most? I had hockey last night, by the way. I only play one lineup on those days because I miss news like this. Even though,
do you think you would have taken him out?
I honestly think I would have, because Kanter not starting would have scared the hell out of me. Yeah,
I wouldn't have thought he bageled in. I wouldn't have seen DNP CD coming.
Yeah, I mean DNP CD is definitely concerning, but
I get that it definitely gives you a pause.
So. A big thing is more so just, and by the way, I'd mentioned on the deep dive, like, this is the type of guy that Fizdale is, and it's frustrating and it's stupid, and I don't know why more coaches continue to do this. Like, but either way, what I don't know. It's hindsight. So what I have pivoted to Okafor, I feel like there's a good chance, but it might have taken me off. Other players. What bothers me the most is finally getting that Whiteside game and having it be all for naught because you catch a zero. Like when there's a guy that you finally get right, because God knows I've gotten Whiteside wrong plenty of times this season. Sure. And it's like you grab a 48 from him at 6K, you're feeling good about it, and the rest of your lineup is on point, and you grab a zero, not because he was a bad play, not because he had a horrible game, but because he literally never left the bench. That kind of stuff. You know how it is.
Aaron in YouTube chat said, you said it yesterday, you can't defend the pick and roll. That's true. My defense to that is that it's the Knicks. They're not exactly rolling out a rotation of guys that do a lot of shit well.
Yeah.
I mean, like, as far as like guys with a skill set goes, Enes Kanter is pretty high on the list of having one that's good. Like, I get that he can't run the pick and roll, but like, they also have Emmanuel Mudiay as a starting point guard. And they're also, I mean, who saw Alonzo Trier putting up, hold on, what's the number? 51 fantasy points.
31 real points. Yeah. No, he can't defend the pick and roll, and that's been a concern the whole season. But again, he was told that he was starting. Like Fizdale had mentioned it, and then after the game, what I just quoted from him a minute ago is what he said. It's whatever, you move on from it. But You would think though, just to throw this out there, you would think that you would have wanted a little bit of offense in this game. They did lose. They kept it close, but they lost, and they went with. Look, here's the big thing. Even if Cantor can't defend the pick and roll, and I think it's a perfectly reasonable comment from who was it?
I totally agree.
Yeah. Everything was made to seem like he was going to start, and that's why I say if I knew that he was coming off the bench, and I just flat out missed it, so that's on me. I would have probably made some adjustments. The big thing is though, like guys like Lance Thomas and Dotson and Ntilikina, like these guys all played big, and Trier and even Mitchell Robinson, not exactly offensive juggernauts. Trier had 31 points. You would have thought that Cantor would have got enough run to, at least inject some offense into the lineup. But you move on. Shit happens. It's just crazy that Fizdale, because he's clearly pissed, by the way. Like Cantor's obviously upset about this, and I think he has every right to be if you're told that you're going to start.
Oh yeah, I mean he's got quotes in Ian Begley's article, like on here right now. I want to play basketball. We're all competitors. I want to play basketball. So if you're going to play me here, play me. If not, then just get me out of here.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, I'm with him. I'm sure he'd happily take a buyout.
What a joke of an organization.
I got nothing. It's absolute insanity. NBA Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first monthly package with us. Any package you choose. Just make sure you're choosing a package that you actually want. Get some people accidentally picking the wrong one. The NBA Strategy code will work on any package. So it doesn't just default to NBA content. So, make sure you pick the one you're looking for if you're trying to use the code. But 50% off. And shout out to Thrive. They're not a Tuesday, Thursday sponsor, but we're happy to have them either way. We got 4 games today. Late start, 8 o'clock. So you're getting the deeper dive at 6. You're getting live before lock at 7. Adjust your calendars, people. You want to talk about these games? 8 o'clock's fun.
Get into it.
It's actually, all 4 games are fun from a fantasy perspective.
This is a phenomenal 4-game set.
It really is.
Like, this is excellent.
And it could get even better with a little bit of news. Let's kick it off. Yeah. Oklahoma City hosting the New Orleans Pelicans. 124.75 implied total for the Thunder. 112.75 for the Pels. Clearly no Anthony Davis for New Orleans. I'm not expecting to see Nikola Mirotic as well. I don't think that he is officially out, but by all accounts, he is probably not going to be playing here. So the Pels are very, very shorthanded. We'll start on the Oklahoma City side. We'll just treat him as a 2-man band. Russell Westbrook, Paul George. Who do you prefer?
Yeah.
Because clearly they're fantastic.
They really are. And by the way, the Mirotic news, that's pretty big, right?
Yeah.
Well, we'll get there. But so with the Westbrook and Paul George thing, like if you look at what slate was it? Tuesday's slate. If you faded Westbrook and you went with the more balanced approach, like a lot of us did, you probably had a pretty good night.
Mm-hmm.
And Westbrook still had a 67 fantasy point triple-double. Like, he's 10-7 now. There's no Anthony Davis on this slate. There's no LeBron James on this slate, presumably. No, he's already been ruled out. That's right. So there is, you got your Karl Anthony Towns against the Lakers, and you got your Westbrook, which is funny because you have Curry and Durant too. It's exactly the same situation that we had on Tuesday, right? A smaller slate, Westbrook and Towns as your 2 guys with the massive upside, and then your Currys and your Durants and your those type of players, your Lillards and such. I don't not like Westbrook here.
Yeah.
It's at all. But I've gotten away from just forcing him into lineups because he's the only, he's the only Westbrook, Harden, Giannis, Davis, or he's the only of whoever. 10-7, perfectly reasonable. What's he at on FanDuel? I'm pulling it up right now.
12-2.
You cut out on me.
12-2.
There you, no, I got you now. So pretty big difference there. He's Russell Westbrook, but right now, if I'm expecting, 60, 65 fantasy points, as much as I have no issues with him, I don't think it's crazy to get away from him either. And yes, it's a good spot, but it's a really good spot for Karl Anthony Towns too. There are really good spots for a lot of players on this slate. Like literally almost every team has either a pace-up matchup or a very good positional matchup or just good defensive matchup. Like almost every team on this slate. So
it's
Westbrook's
fantastic.
matchup isn't as appealing.
Yeah, I mean, he grades out really well for me. I find it easier to go to Paul George than Russ just because of what's at point guard. Although, if Damian Lillard sits, you'll have an easier time fitting people in but then we'll have a chalk CJ McCollum. But value will open up pretty aggressively. Yeah, I would prefer Paul George, and that's probably a safe bet on all sites. You can make a case for Westbrook over George on Yahoo. They're only separated by $3. And at that point, I think that I would just rather have Russ over Paul George. But with the gap in pricing on FanDuel and DraftKings, I think it's easier to go to George.
Yeah, and you can continue to make an argument for Towns over Westbrook. I know you never would have thought that was the case, but nowadays we're seeing it. Like Towns over Westbrook or Embiid over Westbrook isn't crazy anymore. Jokic over Westbrook isn't crazy depending on who they're facing. I mean, Towns finished with 66. He finished a point and a half behind Westbrook last game at a cheaper cost, but not only at a cheaper cost, he only played 32 minutes because of the blowout. I mean, he was on pace to crush that. And now he faces this Lakers team. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but Westbrook's value is tied to the rest of the talent on this slate.
Yep.
Do I like him? Of course I like him. He's a great player. I do have him as my highest projected, raw fantasy points player right now by about 0.6 fantasy points over Towns. Paul George, though, perfectly reasonable as well. He's 96 on DraftKings, which is, I think that's fine. He's 10-8 on FanDuel is a little rich for my blood.
It's a healthy price tag.
That's tough to get to. I mean,
it's really tough with $9,500 Kevin Durant on the slate as well.
Yeah. Durant, but is like, God, Durant's a good player, and in terms of his effect on the team from a win-loss standpoint, it's immense. But just from a fantasy production standpoint right now, we're getting a lot more, games than really good games. And I don't know, is Cousins in line to play 25 minutes now? Because if he went from 15, he fouled out, to 21. My guess is he still stays around the 21 range.
Agreed.
But the simple truth is, and I think we all know this, whether we want to admit it or not, for every additional minute or two that DeMarcus Cousins plays, like that just makes everyone else on the team a little bit less appealing. It doesn't mean that Curry and Durant and Clay and Dre can't all have very solid games. It just means that DeMarcus Cousins is one of the most dominant. He is. It's funny. You and I had a conversation about Embiid and Jokic earlier this season.
We did.
I forgot about Cousins. Cousins is the best center in the league, man. Like I'll take that to my grave. Cousins is the best big man in basketball when healthy and in top shape. I don't care what anybody says. He can do everything. So every additional minute that this guy plays, well, that's going to make things quite interesting, isn't it? Durant has played 23 minutes. We're getting so ahead of ourselves. This is totally my fault.
Hey, we're close. They play at 8. We're in the ballpark.
Right, exactly. Durant has an 18% usage rate in the 23 minutes they played together. I get it. It's a very small sample, but he is just Cousins commands the ball, even if it's not all the time, it's enough to where it makes me step back and think, well, would I rather pay more for Paul George even if he's that much more? It's a tough question to answer.
Yeah, and ownership will play a big part of that too.
Sure.
If Paul George ends up like monstrously ahead of Kevin Durant, I think it makes the decision a lot easier. If they're closer, I agree, it's more of a coin flip. Steven Adams being at 6,600 feels like a pretty nice spot, considering, we'll probably see a healthy dose of Jahlil Okafor, who's never been really good at much of anything on a basketball court outside of maybe just strictly offense, and even that is up in the air.
Apparently, he's an elite shot blocker.
Yeah, 6 blocks yesterday, which were probably equaling his season totals.
Yeah, it's it's actually pretty crazy that I think his per minute or his per 36 block totals are, let's see, 1.8 now per 36 after his last 2 games.
Yeah.
Adams at 66 is a pretty strong play here. I have no problem playing Adams when he's discounted. And now, you're looking at Adams against, say, Randall and Okafor, mainly Okafor. As you pointed out, it's probably unlikely to see Mirotic play. We know Davis is out, so you might get some Diallo off the bench or whoever they're running.
Yeah, they're breaking into the break in case of emergency guys. Diallo, Solomon Hill, Ian Clark.
Oh yeah, big time. So I guess it comes down to, first of all, how many minutes is Cousins going to play? We'll talk about that later. You have Towns at the position. Randall's eligible on DraftKings. You do have Adams. You do have Okafor, who's still below 5K. You have a decent player pool at center given the 4-game slate.
Yeah.
And I think Adams is firmly in the conversation, but he's not going to be someone that I'm jamming into every lineup just because there's a lot elsewhere as well.
Is Julius Randle the best play of the slate?
I don't think he's the best play of the slate, no, but I think he's a really good one. I mean, I definitely think he's a good. I think, honestly, with Okafor, it's tough because he gets some stiff competition going up against Steven Adams, and Adams is exactly the type of guy that can make his night miserable.
And he's also not very good. Let's not forget that he's had 2 decent games and he's been getting a little bit of run for the Pelicans. Let's not forget that he was dangerously close to simply washing out of this league.
Oh yeah, no, he's not. The truth is, Okafor in the post and in the paint is actually a good scorer, but that's all he does.
Right.
And he's not a terrible rebounder. Like the guy, I said this to Dan or to add on. If he was drafted in 1990, he would be one of the better players in basketball. But he wasn't. He wasn't.
So Enes Kanter.
Right. And that definitely it hurts him. But he's 4,900. I think Randall's definitely up there. But is he the top play? I don't know. Maybe. I guess it depends on whether or not guys like whether Lillard plays or whatnot, because that'll have an impact as well.
Yeah, I'm making a couple changes to some of Randall's rates right now, but I think he grades out really well.
He has. I mean, he has to. It went from having him and Mirotic, even though their minutes were nicely staggered, to just Randall and Okafor. Yeah, and I mean, you got to like Holiday as well.
I mean, 8,200 on DraftKings for that. With him likely soaking up as many minutes as he can play at 30-ish% usage. Yeah, I'm in for Holiday, as will I mean, I would guess he's probably the chalk on DK at 8,200.
You would certainly think that Drew Holiday is pretty popular. Yeah, I don't think I'd have a very easy time getting away from that. He's going to see pretty much opportunity to do whatever he wants. That now, will the efficiency be there against OKC? Maybe not, but you're still talking about a team that over the past month is playing at the fastest pace in basketball. When it's a pace-up spot for the Pelicans, you know it means something, and it's a good OKC defense, but that's hardly relevant here. And as long as there's opportunity and there's going to be plenty of it, that's really all I care about. And this is an OKC team that since the 23rd of December leads the entire league in pace, and defensively they've been middle of the road over that span. But it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter as long as there's opportunity.
Who do you prefer most out of this game? We obviously have Westbrook, Paul George. Consider Steven Adams if you want relative to salary. Randall, Drew Holiday, Jahlil Okafor, who has to be talked about because he's 4,900.
Yep.
What's the piece you want the most?
There's a lot to like here, right?
Yeah.
I think I would put actually not I think. I know I would put Randall first, especially he's $7,800 on DraftKings.
Yeah.
That's wild. On FanDuel, he's $8,900. He's the most expensive player at the position, but he's also power forward eligible now, which I also like. So Randall, I have to put Okafor up there. Like at least if Okafor is going to play 30 minutes again, 31 minutes, then I have to have him in there. And it's a back-to-back, but first of all, it's not like the guy's that young, or that old. He was drafted like 4 years ago. He seems conditioned enough to play 35, 31 minutes over his last two games. And then Drew Holiday, and of course Westbrook and Paul George. I have no problems with Westbrook and Paul George. But just because Holiday and Okafor and Randall are priced through the floor, but Davis and Mirotic are likely both out, you have to they're just worth a lot more than they're priced.
Julius Randle in 599 possessions with Anthony Davis and Nikola Mirotic off the floor, 31.8 usage rate, 64.5 true shooting.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's actually more efficient with better per minute production with Mirotic on and Davis off. Oddly enough,
doesn't shock me. Just changes the spacing a little bit. AD being on is probably overlapping the places that he would want to be a little bit more. I could see it.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not gonna shy away from him here either. No. This is a great game. And what's the total on this? 235. 235.
Yeah, it's 124.75 for the Thunder, 112.75 for the Pels. Pels got to stay in this one.
That 12-point spread is something. I'm not too concerned about it, though.
No. God, I'm going to smash Julius Randle tonight.
Oh, that's weird.
I deserve that.
Yeah.
Anybody that we didn't talk about in this game that stands out to you? Jeremy Grant, Elfrid Payton.
You said that with emphasis.
He's just, he's grading out as my top play on DraftKings. Is why I'm saying it.
Oh, I thought you were saying it for entirely different reasons. Sorry, what were you saying? Anyone what?
Anybody else? Jeremy Grant, Schroeder, Elfrid Payton, any of the potential punt plays from the Pels, Darius Miller, Tim Frazier, Frank Jackson, go to any of these guys?
Elf's played 32 minutes in back-to-back games. He's looked pretty bad. I don't think it's a crazy idea to have some Elfrid Payton. I mean, on DraftKings, I'm pretty sure he was $6K last game, 6,100. Now he's down to 54. So that's not, that's really not a wildly, that's not a price point that I'm super worried about. When he was above 6K, no thank you. I'm going nowhere near that, right. Especially because since returning from injury, he hasn't exactly looked great. But with Davis and Mirotic off the court, one of them being your highest usage player, another one being a 27% usage, 24% usage player when Davis is off the court, you're definitely that's a lot of minutes and usage that's been voided, and you're going to have to find it somewhere. I don't expect Payton to shoot all that much, but I think you could see more of a gunner role from Holiday and more of a facilitating role from Payton than we normally see. and I'd absolutely be okay with that. So I don't have an issue with it whatsoever. But just to be clear, Peyton has not been very good. He's played 47 minutes with Davis and Mirotic off the court this year, so really negligible sample, and he's producing a very respectable 0.63 fantasy points per minute.
Can't get enough there. Fantastic.
Damn. Yeah, so I think you said Jeremy Grant too.
Yeah.
I'll ask you, doesn't Jeremy Grant feel like kind of a tough play to get to on a night where you've got the Thunder and the Pelicans, where you've got the Warriors and the Wizards, where you got the Suns and the Blazers, and you got the Timberwolves and the Lakers? I feel like you can do a little better than that.
I agree. I completely agree. He grades out well.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's perfectly passable. You wouldn't make your lineup and be like, "Oh no, I ended up on Jeremy Grant." Like he's not that kind of guy, but there are going to be sexier options.
Yeah, he's not a priority, but I do have him as, one of the better point per dollar values on the slate. It's just Jeremy Grant doesn't pop off the page at you. I think that's probably a better way for me to put it.
I agree. Let's go to Adam's Wizards, unless you have any other takes for Thunder Pels.
I think we're good there, unless you want to play Terrence Ferguson.
No. Darius Miller on FanDuel,
please don't.
I think is a reasonable minimum salary jam-in guy. That's probably the extent of it all. Small forward, so like I don't know.
If he hits 5 threes or something. Darius Miller really isn't the worst punt you could have today. Just be aware that, like, when it comes to guys like Darius Miller, when it comes to Darius Miller himself, he really does need to hit like 5 threes or score 15 real points to be viable. You could actually go back and look at last season. It would be a perfect example of Darius Miller getting extended run and having some decent games, but all of those games are almost exclusively thanks to decent actual point totals. And aside from that, you really weren't getting anything. I mean, his minutes were up all throughout the month of January and February and December, but if very rarely, even when he was playing, because he was playing 30 plus minutes for a good stretch there, it was very rare, even with the 30 plus minutes, that Darius Randle got you even, say, 25 fantasy points.
Yeah, he's not very good. That 0.51 for the last 30 days. That's more. Yeah, that's more information you're going to get for Darius Miller than on any other DFS show today.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know what though? There will 100%. There will absolutely be questions about Darius Miller.
Like, oh yeah, he'll be in some either ors at 7:45, and I'll just be like, I don't know, pass.
Yeah,
it's FanDuel.
He's 3,300. Yeah, he's $3,300 on DraftKings, and he's probably going to play around 30 minutes in a super fast-paced game.
Yeah, if you want to play him on DraftKings, you basically need him to get a point per minute, and that's just shit.
Pretty much, yeah. If I got 25 for Miller there, I'd be all right with it. But only if I'm only playing Miller if I'm playing, if I'm loading up elsewhere, and then you'd need 60 plus from like 2 of those guys, right? Because otherwise that would be tough. Since last year, he's played 900 minutes without Davis and Mirotic. I'm not going to get into the rondos, and it's too much to do right now, and I'd have to go over and look.
I assume he just still sucks like he sucks every other time.
You would be spot on. 0.7 fantasy points per minute with a luscious 17% usage rate and a rebounding rate checking in a tick above 4%.
I mean, if he gets you 0.7 fantasy points per minute here, that's a 40% increase on where he's been over the last 30 days. So gather up all the Darius Miller.
Yeah, seriously.
And he's been at a half point per minute. He's been playing in Travion Graham territory.
Yeah, the guy stinks. That's all we need to know. But 32 minutes, you never know what can happen, right? If he just gets hot from 3-point range, then we look dumb.
Wizards and Warriors. 112.5 implied total for the Wiz, 122.5 for the Warriors. I guess we'll start on the Wizards side. Are I really don't like this team. Bradley Beal, 9,900 on FanDuel, 8,900 on DraftKings, $40 on Yahoo. I'm comfortable going there. Comfortable is probably not the right word, but I'll have some Otto Porter. Trevor Ariza for 5,900 on DraftKings looks okay. Honestly, I'd rather prefer to not have any Wizards.
So I was originally thinking alongside you here that Beal to me is a pretty decent play, and look, we know he's got a huge ceiling, especially go to overtime. But really, his floor for a guy at this price tag is, it's better than Oladipo. It's better than DeMar DeRozan when he was at this price, but you get a lot of 38, 40 fantasy point games from Bradley Beal. Now, the reason I mention that, you have Drew Holiday using DraftKings pricing here, 8,200. Beal's 8,900, mind you. Curry is 9,100. So Curry's $200 shooting guard eligible, more expensive than Beal. Holiday's $700 less than Beal. Devin Booker's $1,400 less than Beal. So how are you going to work that out is pretty much the question here. And then Damian Lillard, obviously point guard eligible, not shooting guard eligible, but it kind of doesn't matter on DraftKings, is $500 less expensive than Beal. By the way, finally got Lillard right the other day. Felt great. Broke the 40 fantasy point slump that he had been stuck in for so long. But he's 8,400 against Phoenix. Beal makes for a tough fit because he's kind of in no man's land with that price point.
He is. It's tricky. On the surface, he looks fine, and then you remember that basically everyone ends up being underpriced on DraftKings in a mental aspect. We just constantly keep thinking like, oh, that guy's cheap, that guy's cheap, that guy's cheap. Right. It's been taking a long time to recalibrate our brains.
I know Booker hasn't been great lately, but on FanDuel, would you rather have an $8,300 Booker or $9,900 Beal or $9,500 Holiday?
Don't forget, no TJ Warren. I want Booker by a country mile.
Exactly. So Beal, looking at things in a vacuum doesn't really do us many favors, put it that way.
It does not. So does anything stand out for you from Washington? This is just it feels really unappealing to try to guess what goes well for the Wiz here. I know we don't predict blowouts and stuff. Warriors have looked pretty damn good as of late. It's a scary spot.
They have. I'm not going to predict the blowout here, but it might not matter that much because I'm having trouble really getting to anyone with enthusiasm when it comes to Washington. I don't expect another Satoransky triple-double here. And if he does, well, then I look like an idiot. There is one guy, and he's priced at least reasonably enough, and I would expect if this game is competitive that he gets, over 30 minutes. Otto Porter is someone that I don't have an issue looking at. 34, 30, 44, 35. He did only play 26 minutes last game, but that game was a blowout. It might not look as bad on the just the final score, but that game got out of hand. I think Otto Porter is a pretty reasonable play here, and he's been producing well off the bench. Aside from that, though, and he's really just kind of a tertiary play. He's not a priority. I don't know who you can get to here and feel great about it, including Thomas Bryant, including Trevor Ariza. It's tough because much like Beal, there are guys priced right next to them or above or below them that you just like more.
Yep. I can't in good conscience justify anybody with any sort of passion on this team. Otto Porter for $22 on Yahoo is fine. But I can't pick one of these guys as like a building block.
No, it's just difficult. Not there. It really is. I've actually felt the same way about the Warriors recently. And it isn't because, once again, isolated, they look really solid. But then, compare them to as you pointed out, a lot of guys really are underpriced on DraftKings, and on FanDuel, you're still going to get some quality discounts as well. So yeah, Kevin Durant. I mean, he's $9K on DraftKings. He's $9,000 on DraftKings.
Yeah.
How appealing is a $9K Durant on DraftKings for you? If say Cousins is in line to play like 23, 25 minutes.
I mean, he's still very appealing.
Okay.
I'll use the tiebreaker in that maybe there's a little bit of narrative for him coming back to the DC area.
Yeah, last time that happened, he got hurt 30 seconds into the game and ruined my night. So
he's due? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm telling you that I'm not even going to take that into consideration.
And clearly neither am I. Look, he's 9K. Over the last 30 days, he's been a pedestrian for Kevin Durant, 1.28 fantasy point per minute guy. But it's a 4-game slate, and he's Kevin Durant. Ownership, again, plays a ginormous piece in all of this. If he's chalk, I'm not super fond of it. There are other directions to go, but if his ownership is depressed for all of these reasons, then I'm willing to take the shares of Durant on the off chance that like today is the day that Kevin Durant gets to go crazy for the Warriors. They seem to like rotate through the role of who gets to fuck up the other team the most. So maybe today is the day that Durant does it. Because I honestly feel like they have that ability. Like one of these dudes is probably going for like 65, whether that's Clay making 10 of 10 threes, Draymond putting up like 8, 8, 8, 6, and 4 or something ridiculous. Like those games are out there and can be unlocked at a moment's notice. And I'm just willing to take that shot against a Wizards team who is not very good. They've been better. They've been a lot better lately.
But they're
still not good.
Once you get Durant into that range, it's tough to ignore him.
Yeah.
My thing is, whenever I have a choice between Durant and Curry, when they're basically the same price, they're $100 separated on DraftKings, which is not a lot. On FanDuel, they're $300 separated. On DraftKings, it's a little more relevant because of the positional flexibility. I just usually end up getting to Curry over Durant. So that's the thing. But
I have them literally next to each other. And in the metric I have that basically gives them like their optimal ownership, I have Durant by 0.3 of a percentage point. It's literally just like, fuck it, I could go either way.
Right, exactly. There's not exactly a huge disparity there, and I don't think there's going to be. So
I want them both in probably in excess, and I probably want more of the guy that's owned less.
Okay. See, I don't want them both in excess. I probably won't be going there.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean I don't have interest in them.
So what do you like from the Warriors? Don't tell me Boogie, please.
Who?
Don't tell me Boogie. I don't want to do this right now.
No, he's 64 on FanDuel now. That's untenable. You can't do that. 58 on DraftKings. Even that is tough. It's not that. It's not that there's anybody that I'm in love with here. And Thompson is 6,400. I mean, I think it's perfectly reasonable. Do I expect him to, have his second monster game in a row? No, it rarely happens with Clay, and that may seem like some that you can't. Is it something that you can quantify? Like Clay never has 2 big games in a row. Well, if you want to go back through everything and tell me, sure, but it doesn't really tell you much, right? It's not exactly predictive. Like Clay, like you said, this team can very much rotate. Who has the big game from each game. It will be interesting to see with Cousins, though, if it's just way more of a balanced approach than normal. When it comes to the Warriors, I like all of them. Well, at least Curry and Durant and Clay at that price. But I just don't know how much I'll have of all of them. You have Westbrook. You have Towns. You have George. You have, if Lillard plays, he's very cheap. You have Holiday. You have Booker. You have Randall. So while these guys are cheap, there are a lot of other cheap guys. But this is not me trying to discredit these salaries. Like they're facing Washington. really good spots. I just get tired of trying to guess which one of them it's going to be.
I get it. I completely get it. I'm just hoping that 122.5 implied total for the Warriors holds out because there are a lot more points for the Warriors, at least on paper, than there are for the Suns or the Blazers or the Lakers or the Wolves. No matter how appealing those games sort of look, there's a lot to go around here.
Yeah, the reason I push back is when you say in excess is because, you know, like having 20% of each or something sounds reasonable, but once you start getting up to those higher ranges, then I'm not going to feel comfortable.
I get it. I would expect to have, I don't know, low 30s.
Okay.
And
each.
I haven't seen, we don't have ownership out yet. But yeah, I would think somewhere in the low 30s.
You know what I'm curious of, though? How open are you to having Curry and Durant in the same lineups? Like, do you feel right now that with the team that they have, now that they're healthy and now that Cousins is active, even if he's only playing 21, 23 minutes, that's still 21, 23 minutes of a, you know, career 32% usage player, that even if his usage comes down in Golden State, which it should, it's still going to be around I think when the dust settles and he starts getting run, he'll have a usage rate around 27, 28%. If that's the case, you know, how often is it that Durant and Curry, even 23 minutes from Cousins, how often is it that those guys are both, you know, going to get the job done? We see how high the scores are every night on FanDuel, on DraftKings. Do you think it's attainable? Do you think it's something that is likely to happen, that both of them are the optimal play in the same lineup?
If I'm playing one lineup, there's no way that I'm doing it. If I'm playing in a 20 max, if I have one of those 20 that have them both, I'm not super upset about it.
Oh, okay. Right. So
maybe
when you
two,
said in
like,
excess, it made it. That's why I'm pushing back.
No,
like,
I don't think that I would have a ton of overlap on the two, or at least it wouldn't be my intention.
Okay.
I don't mind if I have like Curry and Draymond or Durant and Draymond, just because Draymond's price is in the 6s and he is not taking away really anything of what, but like there's no, Draymond's not taking, maybe some facilitating, but like the things that Draymond is going to do to put up a big game, not really going to impact Curry bombing threes. So I don't mind having either one of those guys with another Warrior. And their prices are at a point in time now where at 9K and 9,100 on DraftKings, like I can get there in a small amount, but I would not be prioritizing both of them in the same lineup.
Right. Yeah, I just did an initial crunch. I didn't set any exposure caps. And I mean, I'm not getting much. I got like, let's see, like 16, sorry, percent Curry right now. Got to make some adjustments, obviously.
Yeah.
Not much Durant.
I'm going to run one right now. I haven't run anything yet. So apologies for not getting
this is DraftKings, by the way.
Yeah, I'm running it for DK.
A lot of Booker at 7,500. I'll tell you that much. A lot of Booker at 7,500.
That makes sense. Ooh, see, I'm gonna be with you, I guess. A lot of Draymond.
It's funny that you would think that they would show up in bulk, but
I got like 10% of both of them.
Yeah, things can change throughout the day, no question, but it's strange, man.
By the way, Drew Holiday is running face first into my cap.
Oh yeah, me too.
And then similarly, Julius Randle is running face first into my cap. So the ownership between Holiday and Randle will be really interesting compared to the ownership of Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. In this case, Russell Westbrook and Paul George. We have these combinations of point guard, power forward guys in 3 of the first 4 teams where, like, you know, you could really make a case for all of them. They're all in really nice spots, and balancing the ownership and where the public is super relevant on a day like today.
You know what? I'm curious. We didn't hit on him. What are your thoughts on $4,800 Schroeder? He's down to 4,800 on DraftKings.
Let's see. I don't love it. I don't love it. There's a ton of upside in him. I got 11% on the crunch that I just ran. That's probably more than I think that he should be, but as far as like making multiple lineups and getting lineups to fit, at the very least, Dennis Schroeder looks like the type of guy in a GPP that you would want to have.
Right. Just felt like he should probably be mentioned at that price because it's really inexpensive. But hey, it's still tough to feel good about someone like Dennis Schroeder.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of where I'm at on Golden State. You initially you see the price tag on Curry and Durant. And if anyone wins tournaments with them tonight, you're not going to be like, "Oh, how stupid! They're lucky." No, I mean, of course not. They're two of the best players in the world. But in terms of like formulating and making lineups and crunches, it just seems like they're still not showing up that much.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It kind of surprised me. I'm going ahead and like making manual adjustments to some guys to see if after I do that, does it open back up. I'm going to assume that it doesn't, and that I just simply can't get to a bunch of those guys just because of the Pelicans. So the ownership of Holiday and Randall for me, and to a lesser extent, Bradley Beal, who is the guy that actually is popping up a lot that I would not have expected. The relationship of ownership for Holiday and Randall is going to play a large role in how much Curry and Durant I end up on.
Sure. I unfortunately got a decent amount of Elfrid Payton too, which kind of doesn't surprise me at that price with Davis and Mirotic expected to sit. Man, that's tough. And
I got also, some as well. I had to cap him at 25.
Exactly. Yeah, I did too. I capped him at 30, and even that didn't feel great.
Nope.
But also, remember, Etuan Moore doubtful to play.
Yeah, I have him just out.
Okay.
There's a quote from Alvin Gentry. Jesus. God, my brain is mush. Thanks, Katie, for running that vacuum right now. That's perfect. Great timing. I have a different schedule every day, so it's weird. I'm rarely somewhere at 10 o'clock. Right. Oh, wait. Pelicans coach Alvin Gentry said before the game that Moore has been playing through injuries, and there's a good chance he'll be rested on Thursday in the second half of a back-to-back set. And they've alluded to giving him more strategic DNPs throughout the rest of the year. Yeah. Now, maybe Mirotic being out changes that plan.
I don't think so.
It shouldn't.
Throw your Darius Millers in there.
Yeah.
You got.
But yeah, I am projecting him out right now either way. So.
Right. You got enough to where if you need to get some guys some minutes, you just do it. If you need to play Ian Clark, right? If you need to play Wesley Johnson, actually I don't even know if he's with the team. Hasn't played since December. Remember, he was starting.
Yeah. I'll put it this way. I didn't project him in, and I do have Etuan Moore out and Mirotic out.
There you go. So I'm assuming you have Solomon Hill getting a few minutes.
Solomon Hill gets some time. Ian Clark gets some time. Check Diallo can get some time. I mean, you can give the Wesley Johnson minute, Check Diallo minutes to Wesley Johnson or whatever. I don't think that any of the guys that we're naming play enough minutes to become DFS viable, so I don't put a ton of time into like figuring out.
It's irrelevant. I'm just saying that I don't think it's irrelevant. What I was saying is that I don't think you have to play Etuan Moore because Mirotic is doubtful. That you have enough bodies.
Yeah. Look, he's played 23 and 20 minutes over the past two games, so they've even dialed back his run, probably because of his health. So.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, rank the big five for Golden State for you today.
Oof.
And remember, when we do this, guys, this is a fact for the rest of the day. There is no context. This is just how it works.
Yeah, right. Curry, I guess Durant, Cousins, that DraftKings Cousins. I still think. Well, let's see what his minutes are. Let's see what Cousins' minutes are. If they say Cousins is going to play 25 minutes, I'd be lying to you if I told you against the Washington Wizards that at 5,800 I wasn't interested. Straight up, like if Cousins plays 25 minutes, that could be an easy 40 fantasy points. We don't have to get into the conversation. I know you and Adam have had that debate. I am where I am on it. If Kerr says Cousins can get 25 and he's expected to play 25 minutes, I'd be on board. And then if not, I would put Clay and Dre ahead of him because now his price is up.
If they say that DeMarcus Cousins can play 25 minutes, I'm significantly more interested, but he will still go dramatically over-owned.
I would not be surprised by that either.
No. I have him in for 22 minutes right now. But again, and this is a point that I've been trying to make. If he plays 25 minutes, he grades out as a solid value play. I'd say that he becomes much more viable in cash. In a GPP, when you know that you cannot get additional minutes, that diminishes the ceiling of the player. There's no like, oh, now he's going to play 30 because the game was going well. They're not going to do that. And losing the ability to play more is a huge factor in winning a GPP. More often than not, when you win that GPP, you have guys in your lineup that played more than you expected them to play.
Yep.
You got to remember, a GPP winning lineup is a mistake. People don't think about it like that. But those guys are outperforming whatever you thought they were going to do, or at least the way that you should think about it. All of those guys are like outlier performances.
Yeah.
It's positive for you, but it's actually, in the grand scheme of things, a negative prediction.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely. I've always said that with a winning GPP lineup, you're usually getting at least 2 career games in there.
Yeah.
Whether it's from a 3K player or from whoever. A lot of times you're at least 1 or 2 career games where it should not have happened, like you said, and it did for overtime purposes or for a myriad reasons. There's plenty of different ways that it can go down, but you're right. Yeah, dropping 400 fantasy points on DraftKings isn't really par for the course. Something has to go very right.
Right. Oh, you know what? It's not my wife. It's the cleaning crew.
Oh, that's right. You hire a cleaning crew.
And we don't got to say it like that.
You hire a cleaning crew and work from home.
I don't have time. I'm too busy answering 1v1s in a Slack channel.
I know. I'm just joking.
No, I know. Look, it's we got 2 dogs. Dog hair accumulates.
That sounds like a cleaning crew vacuum.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought it was my wife. I haven't heard her run a vacuum in a year.
You know how the cleaning crew vacuums sound different? It's like a hotel vacuum. Well, you wouldn't know because you don't have a vacuum.
I vacuumed up the pine needles when I carried the Christmas tree out.
Oh, you do have a vacuum?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you rent when you really need
one. And I've got a handheld one to handle little shit that you drop. And we have a Roomba that we run pretty regularly.
Oh, you got a Roomba, huh?
Yeah, that's the greatest thing that's ever happened.
Do the dogs mess with it?
Not at all.
Ah, interesting. It would have been fun if they did.
Getting a Roomba was one of the better purchases we've had. Now, we're on our 3rd one because the first 2 ran through dog shit. But I wish I were kidding. Smeared it all across the house on Christmas Day.
Oh, my God.
I think we've talked about that before.
Your dogs are shitting inside, man?
This was 3 years ago when we got it. We had just taken in the pug from my father-in-law.
Okay. Well, that's a little different.
And we the boxer that we had at the time was having his back leg issues, so he couldn't make it up the stairs. So we were leaving the dogs sleep in the living room. And I think Dingo wasn't very happy about that, so he would spite shit in the middle of the kitchen floor like every other night. He's a pug, so cleanup takes like 5 seconds. Couldn't care all that much. Sure as shit though, we had the Roomba on the schedule, and 6:00 a.m. rolled around on Christmas Day, and that thing smeared poo-poo all over the downstairs, beat it off the baseboards. My mom woke up and was just like, "Oh no!"
Oh, dude, I can't imagine just shit streaks throughout the house,
everywhere.
At least
it ran for like 40 minutes of just mashing it across everything.
At least you knew where to find the Roomba.
Yeah. I tried to scrub it out. We just threw it directly in the garbage.
Dave says Laffy's never heard of puppy pads. I sure have, dude. I trained a dog when I lived in an apartment. We had them, and they worked for shit. She just would eat them up, clean, of course, and just rip them up and never use them. So,
I mean, he
I know
was
what they are,
7
but
or something at that time. Like he was not. It was spite. There was no like he wasn't having accidents. He was like,
I knew it wasn't a
fuckface.
puppy. That's why. Yeah, that's why.
He's like, yo, I want to sleep upstairs with you guys.
Dude, I was taking my dog out, like, no joke, every, like, 45 minutes as a puppy. It was so brutal, and when you work from home, you don't have any excuse.
Nope, you certainly don't.
That was the best thing I did. I love
Josh
that damn
bitching
dog.
about dogs. Try working full-time, being a full-time dad and 2 kids and a dog. Am I bitching? I love my dogs. I would do anything for those dogs. I'd probably do more for those dogs than I'd do for myself.
Or at least other humans.
I mean, like 99.99% of humans. There's like 6 humans that I would put ahead of them.
Yeah, and that's a pretty long list.
Yeah. It might be more narrow. It might only be Katie and my parents and dad.
Exactly.
It might be 4.
Exactly.
Suns and Blazers?
Let's do it.
105.5 implied total for the Suns. Yikes. 113 for the Blazers. So 7.5 point underdogs in Phoenix. At home for them.
Yeah.
No TJ Warren, or at least not expected to have TJ Warren. I don't know if that's totally official yet. Guess I could look that up. But I'm pretty sure that it's just kind of like, yeah, he's not going to be able to play. Will not play. Okay, that's fair. DeAndre Ayton is... There's a slim chance per Kakashkov. Rashawn Holmes is questionable. So this should be a fun little dance to do for the rest of the day. I'm assuming Ayton is out. I have Rashawn Holmes in right now. So we can talk from at least you know my perspective.
Right. And you know my perspective on Bender, if both of them are out.
Yep.
Pretty much the same as it was last time, except his price is up, which worries me a lot more. So it's not the same. I had the same perspective on how I expect him to play, different perspective on how I think his results pan out based on that price point. But again, just playing at the 30 minutes, I think it's really interesting. And you look at these 2 games, he's averaging 18 potential rebounds, 18 rebound chances per game. I like that. Those are numbers that you would never see when he's playing at the 4 or even close. Like, it wouldn't even be remotely close. And what is he taking? 20 shots? 20 shots over those 2 games, I
Sounds
think.
Right.
Yeah, 20 shots over those 2 games. When you're looking at, how much of this he's doing from around the rim, he's also getting a lot of work around the rim. So he's averaging what? 5 half of his field goal attempts are coming at the rim in those 2 games. So 5 of 10, not bad. I don't think that's bad at all. Actually, he has 2 double-doubles consecutively. I know the last game was a bit in garbage time, but just the fact that he's playing in garbage time is a good sign. Unfortunately, I think, or actually, it's probably fortunate. I didn't think there was great value on Tuesday's slate. We'll probably be able to get away from Bender on this game, but just pointing out kind of where I see him. If Rashawn Holmes doesn't play, I would expect another 30 minutes, and I wouldn't be surprised to see another 28, 30 fantasy point game. Just not sure if that's enough on this slate. Last slate, I thought that was enough.
I'm with you. I'll have some Bender if they're both out. If Holmes is in, he becomes one of my favorite value plays of the day. 4,100. So long as he can get to like 20 minutes, I mean, he's not going to bury you. Now, he could very easily pick up 4 fouls in 90 seconds, as he does from time to time. But we're just the star of the show in this game is Devin Booker at 7,500 on DraftKings.
Yeah, not even close.
Yeah, he is far and away the clear best play via any sort of scenario you want to look at. He is simply too cheap. Without TJ Warren on the floor, let's run NBA Wowie and see how he's been without Warren. Off the top of my head, I remember it being fantastic, but
run it with Cannon off too.
Sure. Cannon?
Just because, yeah, Isaiah Cannon.
How many minutes did Isaiah Cannon play this year that this is going to matter?
Dude, like the first month and a half.
I can't keep track of these dudes. Shaq Harrison started this season on the Suns, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to. I just like when Isaiah Cannon was starting at the point, it was impacting Devin Booker's facilitating.
I'm glad you said it. Well, I would have noticed it depending on how many.
Yeah.
Like once I saw
Put it this way,
the minute count afterwards.
Yeah, he played 19 games and he averaged almost 27 minutes per game. I think that's pretty relevant.
That is very relevant. I do not disagree. All right, T.J. Warren, DeAndre Ayton, Isaiah Cannon off. I don't really care about every other guy that has been cycled through this team right now.
No, not at all. Not at all. Just we want to make sure that Booker's primarily playing a point guard.
Like Trevor Ariza is going to be on here, but I'm not super worried about that.
Whatever.
It's not like he's a 28% usage guy. Josh finally seeing the light with Bender. What light? What light? He's still not good. I prefer to just put good players in my lineup.
See, that's where we differ. I don't care if you're good, if you're cheap and you're in a good spot.
I just think about what I need him to do, and I feel that it's not important. He's fine. He's just fine. I'll never like.
So what do we have from Booker though? What do you got from Booker?
Okay, Booker played 183 possessions without these guys. No, nothing else on here looks terribly egregious. Booker 30% usage rate in those 183 possessions. He's been at 1.14 fantasy points per minute, which is right in line with his last 30-day rate of 1.13. I have him projected at 1.06 right now, and he's still smashing into my ownership caps.
Yeah, and that's a wildly small sample too.
Yeah.
So
at the very least, if he's a 1 point per minute guy, he's in a great spot today. And there's a pretty good chance that he's much better than that. Like 10% better than that.
Yeah, I would assume I would assume that at 7,500, it doesn't matter, what numbers I come up with. I'm probably still not going to find myself getting away from Devin Booker, right?
Totally
like
agree.
That's not easy to do. And even if Ayton plays, by the way, that doesn't concern me whatsoever. No. Let's keep in mind it is, as Ayton's you pointed out. What's that?
Ayton's not playing.
No, I mean you're probably right.
Holmes, I think, might.
Yeah, it's possible. It's definitely possible.
He didn't practice yet. Like Ayton didn't practice yesterday. They're on a back-to-back.
Yeah, Drummond didn't practice on Tuesday in concussion pro. Then he goes to a full practice on Wednesday, and then he still doesn't play.
I thought he was playing. I had to swap him out in a lot of shit.
Oh, I didn't have any interest in him, but I had more interest in Blake, and then I was like, I guess Blake isn't playing. But with Booker, you said 183 possessions. It's only 84 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's really not all that big. The big thing is that if you take TJ Warren off the court, that's another guy that gets up a decent amount of shots. The biggest thing really is that Devin Booker 7,500 and 8,300, and if this game is close, I really wouldn't be surprised. I actually think that it stays competitive enough. And Booker plays, how many minutes is Booker going to play here? 35, 36?
Yeah, I have him in for 36 right now.
There's no way I'm passing that up.
No,
I just can't.
He should be highly chalk too. Let's hope he's not, but I assume that he will be.
You would think that Devin Booker will be, pretty popular. Doesn't concern me that much though. He'll have a tough time hurting you at 7,500.
That he will, unless he tries to fight another big man.
Yeah, not the greatest. Not one of his best ideas ever.
He'll probably have a little bit more success against Myers Leonard than he would against Gorgeous Dong.
Yeah, right. You would think so. It's funny though. You know who always had the beef with Myers Leonard? No,
I feel like I should. It's not ringing a bell.
I feel like you should as well. Marcus Cousins.
I can't picture it.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because Myers Leonard was used. Terry Stotts was like heavily using Myers Leonard to guard Cousins.
There it is. SB Nation. DeMarcus Cousins and Myers Leonard have the weirdest beef in the NBA.
There you go.
So I can remember reading this article.
Yeah, there were 2 seasons straight where every time they played, something happened. Not like, throwing fists, but always, like, they do not like each other. Because Myers Leonard has always talked about he loves facing Cousins, like, he loves the task and he's actually played him relatively well at times. Cousins has also had some monster games against him, but Myers Leonard has gotten in Cousins' head, and it's like the last person you would ever expect to be able to do that.
This is fantastic.
Yeah. Do you have anyone else from Phoenix that you're interested in?
I was reading about these two guys. Anybody else
Because
in
Kelly
Phoenix?
Oubre could once again get quite a bit of run here.
I mean, Holmes if he's in. Kelly Oubre a little bit, and again, I'm picturing Holmes in. So Holmes, Oubre, Josh Jackson, Bridges. I don't mind having little bits of all of those guys. Nobody's standing out as a guy that I want to have a ton of, though.
Yeah, I have Jackson right now at 32 minutes.
I have him
Oubre at 29.
I have Jackson at 28. I have Oubre at 30.
Okay.
So, we can move those numbers around a little bit and it would make a difference. But
I'd probably just take the cheaper of the two. Josh Jackson, I got a 5,300. Oubre 57.
Look, the real negative piece of this is that they have a 105.5 implied total. It's the lowest on the slate by like 7 points. They are on an island of bad compared to everybody else. You're either in the 112 to 114 range, which is everyone except for the Thunder and the Warriors. The Thunder and the Warriors are on another level in the 120s, and the Suns are in the basement at 105. Like, that matters. That's a lot of fantasy points that you're just not predicted to get.
Yes and no to me. I see it how you're seeing it, but I also see it as you're talking about a team that, aside from Devin Booker, is going to be having long stretches where guys like DeAnthony Melton and Miles Bridges, who just, are so offensively inept, are going to be on the court. So while it may be less possessions, the amount of possessions that Devin Booker eats up, and even guys like Josh Jackson are capable to eat up, including Kelly Oubre. I think there will be enough concentrated offensive possessions with those three players, particularly Booker, but also to some extent Jackson and Oubre, that it doesn't bother me as much.
Oh no, it's not so much that it bothers me. I just have a hard time picking out of the lot. Like, Oubre, Holmes, Bender, Jackson, Bridges are all projected relatively similar for me on a point per dollar basis. And at that point, when I look at it, it's okay, the Suns are not in an appealing spot, and no one really stands out for me to the point where, like, I can prioritize them over the others. So after that, I'm just trying to get something right in the worst spot of the night.
Right, yeah, and I don't disagree with that. I do think, I mean, if Josh Jackson plays 32 minutes or so, at 53, he's very reasonable.
Yeah, even better on FanDuel, where he's also 53.
Yeah, no question. Got anyone other than him though? Like, Oubre is okay in tournaments. I'm really not high on him. I think you're probably gonna fall once again into that like 28 fantasy point range, 30 maybe. Probably not gonna be enough. And I do think Jackson gets a couple extra minutes, but
Yeah.
everybody else, I'm good. What are your thoughts on Portland here? Assuming Lillard plays.
I'm going to slowly assume that he doesn't, but I have him in for right now. Of all the chances to take a break, today feels like a pretty damn good one.
Yeah, could be. Definitely could be the case. But I don't know.
Look, if Damian Lillard is playing, he is 8,400 on DraftKings. He is not that far behind Devin Booker in terms of how much I like a play.
No, that's why earlier in the show, that's why I said it'd be really tough to get to Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
Damian
I mean,
Lillard,
it's a lot tougher to get to Steph Curry, I think, more so than Bradley Beal.
Right. I'd say both.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. At least with Beal, you know that he's going to be the center of attention.
Right.
You can feel a little bit more confident about his role.
In terms of like median output, since Wall went out, Beal and Curry are pretty similar in that respect.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. Like, you would not have thought that, but that's the case. Yeah, Dame, had he not had those 5 steals last game, you're getting another, like 50 on the button, 50 on the dot, which is fine, maybe a couple more than that, and I have no issues with that. 8,400 against Phoenix, though. If he plays, I'm definitely in. If not, then obviously Seth Curry becomes the top overall punt on the slate because he's free.
Evan Turner too.
No thanks. I mean, you're right. You're right, but still oh man, I don't want to play Evan Turner.
Blazers have the Hawks on Saturday. They don't play tomorrow. And then they are off Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Honestly, probably in the Blazers' best interest to bury Dame Lillard against the Suns and the Hawks and give them like 6 days to get right. But that is not the way that Dame Lillard operates, so it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't see that being the case. By the way, Yusuf Nurkic.
Dude.
I shouldn't have to talk about where I'm at on Nurkic. I love this dude. Nothing has changed. He's impeccable. I don't think Nurkic outside of the DFS world does not get the credit he deserves. He's been amazing this year.
Yeah.
His per minute production is through the roof. It is arguably elite. He is contributing not only as a rebounder, as a scorer, but as a facilitator, as a shot blocker.
As an every, yeah, I mean, he had a 5x5.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that 5x5 was an insane 5x5.
Mm-hmm.
Like that wasn't some middling 5 or like 7, 6, 5, 5, and 5. That was like 22, 21, 6, 6, and 5 or 6, 5, something ridiculous. He's 8,000 on DraftKings. I don't care if it's against Ayton, if it's against Bender, if it's against Holmes. Yusuf Nurkic is a stellar play. He's $1,500 cheaper on DraftKings than he is on FanDuel.
And what's really crazy is that he's like really difficult to play. Because would you rather have Yusuf Nurkic or Julius Randle?
Yeah, very, very reasonable point. I have not made, let's see.
Because I have Randle ahead of him, Towns ahead of him, Okafor ahead of him. I have Steven Adams ahead of him, which we could talk about. But again, Adams is 6,600 on DraftKings. I'd probably prefer Draymond Green, although it's close.
Over who?
Nurkic.
Oh, no.
I don't, and we're not talking about like raw points here. But relative to their salary, like Draymond Green for 6K is that's a low price tag. Went for 52 a couple nights ago in New Orleans. Back-to-back 35-ish point games. Look, he's different and can't shoot worth shit.
Look, I've been on him plenty lately, no question. I really do want to see what type of run Cousins gets. I know it sounds trivial, but 20 minutes or 25 minutes for Cousins, I think, is still a big difference. Every minute he's on the court has influence. So that's all. But no, right now I crunched 150 lineups, came up with only 7% Nurkic, and I have him projected with 45 fantasy points. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but like it's just there's only so many spots that you can fit him in as a center only. And that's why someone like Draymond or Julius Randle will push themselves up because of their flexibility. And, center is just crazy deep while he looks good on the surface. There's too many options.
Let me say this, though. If it is the case that, like, Okafor is chalk, right, and Randle is heavy chalk, I'm going to lower exposure there a little bit to get a little bit more Nurkic because like Nurkic, the question is always, does this guy have an equal, or higher ceiling than the chalk? Nurkic has proven that he can give you the 60 fantasy point games. Like, he's proven it. Is it every week? No, of course not. But he can go out there and give you a 20, 25, 3-2 game, like monster games. So I think for me, Nurkic the ownership is going to be so important because then I will find ways to get him into lineups if Nurkic is going completely overlooked, because there's no reason he should, outside of, as you pointed it out, it's kind of tough for roster construction.
He goes under-owned every night. He's not going to be even looked at today.
Every night. And he's 8K flat.
Yeah. Yeah, if we put ownership out and he's at like 8% or 10% or 12% or something,
yeah,
by all means, get more of him in on purpose.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. That's all I got for Portland.
Obviously, play CJ McCollum if Dame is out. That's just, he'll be really good. I got to sneeze. I'm back.
Oh, you muted it.
Oh, yeah. I'm a professional, man. I'm a professional here. That's not my first rodeo. That's not my first sneeze.
Can I just say that if Lillard is out, I like McCollum, but I don't love McCollum. Just saying.
Okay.
I think he's fine. Like, better than fine. He's 6,300 on DraftKings. But like if McCollum is massive chalk.
Oh, I won't be there then.
And my guess is he probably would be if Lillard is out.
What's up? Sorry. YouTube chat. Okafor is matchup proof.
All right, man.
Ooh, that one hit me. Sorry. I wasn't ready for it. I agree. I would not be with CJ on massive chalk.
Okafor is matchup proof because he's never in the game to actually get a matchup.
Yeah. It's the inverse there in that he's matchup proof because he's not really great in any matchup. The matchup doesn't matter. He's just not good.
Right. Exactly. It's, the funny thought is, though, like if you're going to fade McCollum, I think Nurkic would actually make for a really great pivot there.
Yeah.
Legalize said, wouldn't Nurkic handle the ball more?
Yeah.
In terms of handle the ball,
well,
like, yes, in your half court, he'd have more assist opportunities, but you're not going to see big Nurk bringing it up the court.
No.
But yes, in the half court, I think you would have Nurkic playing more of like a Jokic role, the type a role similar to that, and he can do it. So it's not crazy to think that he can do it. But by handling the ball more, I wouldn't put it like that. I'd say more responsibilities, distributing. Yes, definitely. More touches for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Nurkic becomes a little bit more appealing there. And as you mentioned, Seth Curry then is the massive chalk value play. Evan Turner, I think, becomes a really massive chalk play on FanDuel at 4,200. I don't know if I'd prioritize anybody else, really.
I know I wouldn't.
I don't know. We'll see what kind of minutes like Sauce Castillo gets in that scenario.
Yeah, pure shooters like that. Pure shooters that do nothing outside of that kind of bother me.
When I talk about guys like that, I only mean it in a FanDuel drop sense.
Gotcha.
Get that extra salary and allocate it elsewhere. Do you want to close this out, Lakers and Wolves?
Let's make it happen.
Los Angeles Lakers, 113.25 implied total. Wolves, 114.75. We might have the return of Rondo tonight. Wants to play. Apparently should be able to play. So I've got him in for 25 minutes right now. Do you want any Rondo? We'll start there.
This is certainly an interesting question, isn't it?
It really is.
Rondo doesn't expect to have a minute limit. So
I bet he doesn't.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. I mean, it's a hand injury, not a lower body. And I always
he tried to play with like a broken hand in the playoffs and shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
2 years ago or whatever. Like he played with a torn ACL at one point in time. He doesn't give a shit, man.
So many people hate Rondo. I love Rondo, man.
Like, huge fan.
I don't know.
Aside from the slurs, great dude.
What were the slurs?
I'm
not asking specifics.
Sure, he called that ref the F word, and he happens to be
Oh, that's right.
A gay man, so that didn't go real well for Rondo.
Yeah, not one of his wisest decisions, huh?
Real bad look there.
Yeah. Well, if anyone takes it personally when I say I love the guy,
No, it's in a
first of
basketball
all,
sense.
exactly. Like, don't get all PC on me, man.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
not
not
talking.
judging his
I didn't even
day-to-day
remember what
character.
yeah, I didn't remember what the slur was, or did. I'm not gonna defend myself. That's
No.
ridiculous. No one even said anything. It's 2019, man. You got to be careful. Everyone's looking to be outraged over something.
Right.
Rajon Rondo, though, I love the grit on the court.
Yep.
It's awesome. And like you said, this dude, if he could, would pretty much play through whatever, right? At his price, if Rondo plays 30 minutes, 52 on DraftKings, that's really appealing.
I have him in for 25 right now.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
assume that if we get word
there.
that he's playing, that he ends up owned more than he should be.
I also have him at 25 minutes, by the way.
Smart people.
And I still have him as a decent value.
Yep.
God, I mean, just think about it though. Think about real quick. No Lonzo, no LeBron. So you have like a tried and true facilitator out there that if this Lakers team can actually make buckets, he's gonna have 15 assists. Like Rondo's assist upside is massive here. And not only that, but think about this team from a rebounding standpoint. You have no LeBron. They're not the greatest rebounding team right now either. They aren't terrible, but they aren't amazing. If Rondo played 30 minutes, I wouldn't be surprised if he flirts with a triple double. But also have him at 25. I think that's the reasonable number here. And if if we expect 25, then it's a pretty easy spot to get away from. But if it turns out that that he doesn't, if Walton's like, no, we're going to let him run and we will want to know, then Rondo with extended minutes to me would be a really, really good play.
I agree. Would you rather have Rondo or Teague, knowing what we know right now? Teague is $700 more expensive.
You know what's funny? Like, I still feel like Rondo's got I still feel like Rondo's in a better spot.
I don't disagree.
Because Teague still has to contend with Towns and Wiggins and Rose for whether it be shots. As a facilitator, he's still going to get his work in, but he's not a great rebounder. Rondo's a solid rebounder for a guard. I think Rondo, yeah. And another thing to consider too is that if you look at Teague's minutes, it's not okay. A guaranteed 35 minutes from Teague and maybe 25 from Rondo.
Yeah.
No, Teague has actually played since returning from injury. He's played less than 30 minutes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of 8 games, and those others were 30 and 31. So
yeah, I have him in for 29 right now, and it's more likely that he doesn't play than anything else.
Yeah, and I have him at 28. So from a per minute basis, I'll take 25 of Rondo over 28 of Teague.
Yeah, I've at
been $700 discount, of course.
Right. I saw them like they were just next to each other here. So
yeah, fair question.
That's an interesting thing to bring up. Okay, would you rather have Rondo or Rose if you know Teague is out? Rose at 6,500, so a bit different of a price point.
And we're assuming that Rondo plays 25.
Yeah.
Right. That's funny. Someone in chat asked the exact same thing as you asked it. Literally as you asked it. And it's delayed, so he didn't know you were asking that. God, this sounds
way
great.
ahead of you, K-Shep Killicam.
I didn't even try to pronounce it.
I think I nailed it.
It's actually, you know what? Actually, looking at it, it's a whole lot easier.
Yeah, it seems like it should be a pain in the ass, but it's not.
Sometimes they're a little bit scary to look at. I think still Rondo. That could be a really bad decision, but yeah, I think still Rondo.
Okay. How do you want to manage Kuzma and Ingram? Kuzma at 6,900 on DK. Ingram at 62. Similar spread in salary on FanDuel and Yahoo. You have a preference between the two guys?
Sorry, Kuzma and Ingram, you said? For Kuzma and Ingram?
Yes.
Yeah, those salaries have definitely come down. So here's what I would say. I'd probably lean Kuzma here, and the reason would be that Brandon Ingram has handled some point guard work, whether, it was Rondo off the bench or Rondo when he was off the court, or when Lonzo, when Lonzo was hurt. Ingram is the type of guy that can handle some of that facilitating work, and his potential assist numbers had gone up significantly since LeBron went down and then Lonzo went down. But being that Rondo's expected back, assuming he plays, then I would go Kuzma, because I don't think Rondo affects him as negatively. Actually, I could see Rondo helping Kuzma because it's going to set him up more and make for, Rondo's pretty good at getting guys open and freeing up some shots. So Kuzma there. If Rondo's going to play, he's going to play. That's pretty much a certainty at this point. So I'll go Kuzma there.
Okay. Here's what's interesting. I would probably lean Kuzma, and he grades out slightly better for me. But the fact that Brandon Ingram has shooting guard, small forward eligibility, and Kuzma has small forward, power forward, is a really interesting nugget on DraftKings in terms of roster construction because of the way that you can fit Brandon Ingram in. So I would think that Ingram would end up being more owned because of his flexibility. And I don't know what the proper way to balance something like that is. If you have two guys that are completely similar, what's more important? Small forward, power forward, or shooting guard, small forward? How much is that extra ability to put him in the shooting guard spot or the guard spot? How much does that weigh?
I don't know. To me, it's entirely slate dependent.
Yeah.
And I think shooting guard has a lot of pretty decent depth today.
Yeah.
Where are you at on Wiggins? Because he's not seriously. It's funny. He's finally rebounding well, but he can't score now. So I don't know what to do with him. He's very cheap, 5,600. But nah, I'm probably not getting there.
I like him. Again, another guy with shooting guard, small forward eligibility. So, all right, would you rather have Andrew Wiggins or Brandon Ingram? Separated by $600, same exact positional designation.
Ingram. I mean, I like Ingram here. I do like Ingram.
Okay.
So 62 is very reasonable.
I'd want the guy that's less owned. I probably lean Wiggins, which is terrifying, but I will have them both.
You think Ingram's going to be that popular?
No, I don't. Nothing crazy.
I love Karl Anthony Towns here, though.
It's fantastic. Do you know what his rates are over this last 30 days?
Go ahead. 31% usage.
I just meant fantasy points. Sorry, I shouldn't have said rates. Rate 1.71 on FanDuel over the last 30 days. Ooh,
yeah,
boy,
outstanding.
That is in the last 30 days. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. We're going to throw out LeBron. He's only played 20 minutes in the last 30 days. He's higher. But Giannis at 1.8. Harden at 1.8. AD at 1.76. Embiid at 1.73. Karl Anthony Towns 1.71.
There you go.
James Harden is in the last 30 days. James Harden has scored 1,047 FanDuel points in 582 minutes.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It's nuts. It's nuts.
Just unstoppable force, that guy. It's amazing. Yeah, but Towns, I mean, I don't have to say much on him.
No, it's just there's the
great spot.
Grades out really, really well. I'll have some. It does hurt him a bit that he does not have more eligibility than just center on a day like today where you can make the pieces fit all sorts of different ways. But he's probably the best. I have him ahead in a ceiling projection ahead of Russell Westbrook by 0.3 of a point.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But I think it's accurate.
Yeah.
So Zubats is playing like 21 minutes a game. He's always interesting, but you don't need to get there on this slate. If it were
No.
if we didn't have any value, any depth, I'd probably bring him into the conversation because, Tyson Chandler and JaVale McGee's minutes have been down considerably. So basically, McGee and Tyson Chandler are playing around like 25 minutes combined a game, and then Zubats playing like 21 to 25.
Yeah, there's too many other guys, whether Holmes plays or not, Okafor.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather have Bender even if Holmes is in. Even Taj Gibson is probably pretty close in this spot.
So, if Holmes is in, I would take Zubats over Bender in an instant, but not if he's out.
Okay.
I really think Bender needs 30 minutes in my opinion, to get there.
He should. He's bad. Anybody else from this game? Josh Hart, KCP, Josh Okogie.
Dude, I'm just not a Josh Hart guy.
Nor am I.
Just cannot get there. And I don't think you need to get to like the low per minute guys that are just a prayer, like KCP. Stevenson is not a low per minute guy. He's actually a solid one and always has been, but I don't expect him to play enough minutes. So
nope. I'm in for 18 right now.
Yeah, me too. That's about it. That'll do it.
Well, that will do it. I don't have anything else.
No.
That's hour 30. That's not bad.
No, not bad at all.
Got it. We got it.
Not bad at all.
Adam will have the deep dive out in the early afternoon. Deeper dive coming from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, where we've got lock an hour later today. And then live before lock, 7 to 8. Come join me talking about these final 4 games. I don't think we have anything else to plug. Get your golf lineups in. I think that locks in like an hour and 7 minutes or something along those lines.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Let's see if it's still open.
Yeah,
usually they lock at 6 in the morning.
No, I think it's a noon lock today.
Yeah, this whole to start the season, it's all been
refreshing.
Like
it's refreshing.
If
you need any last minute golf tips, Ben and Jason did a show last night going over all their stuff. Pop that on, build your lineups if you want. NBA Strategy is the promo code, 50% off your first month if you want to join up with us. One big word, NBA Strategy. You could use it on any package you would like and get 50% off the first month. Anything else, Lofty?
I'll see you guys at 6 o'clock.
Serious this weekend?
You know it. 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday.
There you go, guys. Tune in. We're out of here. Best of luck tonight.
Peace.